households demonstrate resourcefulness on a daily basis. Old clothes don't go to waste, they turn into cushion covers. Biscuit containers don't retire, they become spice boxes. Furniture gets a second, third, sometimes even fourth life. A simple glass bottle, add a bulb, and you've got a lamp. What may seem like small habits is actually part of a larger idea: circularity. Circularity is about using resources wisely. Reducing, reusing, and recycling materials, keeping them in use for as long as possible, and giving them a small upgrade when needed. So we create less waste, use fewer new resources, and give nature a breather. While recycling is often talked about, reuse is what quietly makes the biggest difference. And in India, this idea isn't new. It's deeply rooted in our ethos. But this mindset shouldn't stop at our homes. It needs to extend to how we move. India has one of the largest automobile sectors in the world, with millions of vehicles on its roads. But that comes at a cost. The sector is highly resource intensive, whether it's fuel for internal combustion engine vehicles or critical minerals for electric ones. Which is why moving the automobile sector towards circularity is no longer optional.
When we talk about bringing circularity in the automobile ecosystem, the idea is the existing internal combustion engine vehicles, how can we extend the life of them so that they can be utilized by the existing owners or new owners, but keeping in mind that they are not running on dirty fossil fuels. So how we can actually look at retrofitment as a viable option.
At the same time, batteries from electric vehicles already on the road don't have to go to waste.
Then for the existing electric vehicles that are there in the market, how can we look at refurbishing the batteries that are the major chunk from the cost perspective as well as the emissions perspective in an electric vehicle while being manufactured. So how we can address that in terms of utilizing the same battery after the end of life of the first application for multiple other applications, and the life of the battery is extended to 18 to 20 years, which is then looked at for recycling.
And that's the shift from a linear use and discard model to a circular one, where vehicles last longer, batteries live multiple lives, and materials stay in the system for as long as possible. Let's focus first on retrofitment. It's a simple idea with a smart twist. Don't scrap the vehicle, just upgrade what needs to change. Swap the internal combustion engine for an electric motor and battery, and suddenly the same vehicle gets a cleaner second life. The polluting part is removed and everything else keeps doing its job.
When we look into electrification, there are two aspects to it. One, the perspective is to convert the new demand towards electric, which is one phase of it. The second phase is also to convert the existing petrol vehicles into electric vehicles. That will only lead to electrification of the automotive in the country. And in order to increase the number of vehicles on the road, new sale alone cannot help it as much. It has to be supported by converting existing petrol vehicles to electric so that the numbers start increasing rapidly.
10 months back, Deepthi was wondering what to do with her decade-old scooter.
We were making a choice either to sell it away or to buy a new one or get an EV. While we were hunting for what would be the best choice for us, that's when we came across Green Tiger. And since we liked what we saw on their social media, we upgraded the existing vehicle.
For Dominic, who has been using his retrofitted vehicle for more than 9 months, the motivation was simple. It was economical.
Every month petrol costs not less than 5,500 rupees. Now I am spending only for electricity more than 150 rupees, 150 to 200 rupees. So I am able to save more than 5,000 rupees per month. My average kilometers per day is 100 kilometers per day.
The retrofitted electric vehicles take about 4 hours to charge and last the day, going up to 100 kilometers.
Even if I go for a new vehicle in petrol, not less than 1 lakh rupees. And every month I have to spend a minimum 5,000 rupees per month. So if cost is 60,000 rupees per annum, so 60,000 rupees I made it converted into electric. First year itself I will take the money back. So far I took about 40 to 45,000 rupees cash back.
For N. Raghavendra et al., that's 4 days of usage.
ಒಂದು ಸಲ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 4 ದಿವಸಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಏನು ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ.
And for retired Sub-Inspector B.M. Anaya, it offers less dependence on petrol.
ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲು ಹಾಕಬೇಕು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಇದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ನೈಟ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೋಬೋದು, ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಗಾಡಿ. ಅದೇ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಖಾಲಿ ಐತೆ, ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಬಂಕ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಹುಡುಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇರ್ತವೆ ಅಂತ ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Maintenance, often a concern with any vehicle, turns out to be surprisingly minimal. In fact, the addition has been seamless.
ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಏನೂ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ.
And those who initially thought retrofitted vehicles are not useful have come around.
ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, ಇದು ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ದು ಒಳ್ಳೇದೇನು. ಕೆಲವು ಬಂತು ಅಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಅದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ.
What may seem like a simple choice is, in fact, a choice for a circular economy. Deepti, Dominic, Edhal, and Anaya not only avoided having to scrap their vehicles and buy new scooters, but also mitigated the higher amounts of carbon dioxide which would have been emitted from ICE vehicles. And slowly, their lives have changed, with more people catching up on the trend.
2-3 people they purchased from Tiger. It's my suggestion.
Everything has a lifespan, including the batteries that run the electric vehicles. New or retrofitted, the battery's capacity reduces over time. Enter refurbishment, a process that extends the battery's life. In a small factory in Bhopal, used EV batteries are taken apart, tested, and non-performing cells are replaced by new ones to create new battery packs.
car batteries say, can you build energy storage infrastructure which can power some of our factory load? And fortunately the answer is yes, and we have tested out these use cases and these very much work.
For street vendors who keep shifting their stalls from one place to another, batteries offer flexibility. They don't need to rely on electricity sources. For the last 2 months, S. Hamsa has been using a refurbished battery to power her makeshift shop.
पहले तो हम लोग लाइटें यूज़ करते थे, उसके बाद में बैटरी की मतलब एनालाइज कर रहे थे, उसके बाद में ये पता चला ये अच्छा लग रहा था इन्हें.
Charging it once lasts 7 hours, more than enough for her routine evening shift.
अच्छा लाइट में उजाला लगता नहीं है, बैटरी ऐसा लग रहा लाइट का उजाला लाइट ऐसे चल रहा. बहुत लोग पूछते हैं कितना क्या क्या फिर आसपास है ना, देखो जब उनका जरूरत हो तो लेंगे खुद.
Her neighbor Suraj paid heed to her suggestion, and he is all praise.
इसमें पहला बेनिफिट ये है कि लाइट वेट है और बैटरियों की तरह क्या हैवी नहीं है. दूसरा मेरे को इसका बेनिफिट ये मिल रहा है, कम से कम 7 से 8 घंटे बैकअप दे रहा है. दूसरी बैटरी में रहता है तो मैं दिन भर चार्ज में लगाऊँ, मैक्सिमम 2 से 3 घंटे चलती थी हमारी, और फिर इसको वापस चार्जिंग के लिए लेके जाओ, माथा पच्ची बहुत ज़्यादा होती थी. ये बैटरी का बेनिफिट है कि कम से कम एक बार चार्ज करने से लिमिटेड 7 से 8 घंटे बैकअप दी जा रही.
Bhupender Singh, who sells vegetables on the street, has been using it for 6 months.
इसकी रोशनी का फोकस अच्छा है और यानी कि बैकअप बहुत शानदार है इसका. जो बैकअप रात को यानी कि 12 बजे तक 1 बजे तक बैकअप देती है.
Not just portability, it has increased his income.
यही है कि इसमें मेहनत कम है अपनी और चार्जिंग का टाइम भी कम है, जिससे बिजली का बिल भी कम आता है अपना.
Lead acid batteries are being replaced by lithium-ion batteries, even for agricultural sprayer pumps. For farmers like Vishal, spraying fertilizers and pesticides has become easier.
वो लेड एसिड बैटरियाँ रहती थी वो पानी वाली, तो उसमें तो ये मान लो कि ये 10 बैटरी और वो 1 बैटरी, इतना वजन रहता था वो बैटरियों में. नहीं, इस बैटरी में बिल्कुल बहुत वजन कमेगा.
The refurbished batteries get charged up quickly, ready to power Indian agriculture.
उस बैटरी के उपलक्ष्य में ये बैटरी जल्दी चार्ज हो जाती है. और इसका क्या, इसका मेन बात ये इसका प्रेशर भी तेज है, इसका बैकअप भी तेज है. मतलब जो पहले मोटर घूमती थी उससे थोड़ा तेज मोटर घूमती, प्रेशर अच्छा बनाती है इससे. वो बैटरी का टैंक खाली करती थी 10 से 12, और ये 20 से 22 टैंक खाली कर देती।
Here too, the word is spreading.
और लोगों को ये है कि अपन कोई मिलता है बताते हैं बैटरी के लिए, तो उनकी बैटरी खराब हो जाती है, बोलते हैं यार भैया वजन ज़्यादा, तो अपन बता देते हैं भैया अपन यूज़ कर रहे हैं।
गांव में किसी सज्जन लोगों ने बताया भाई ये बैटरी यूज करो, पहले पानी वाली थी, ये पानी वाली मत करो, ये सूखी बैटरी यूज करो, तो इससे फ़ायदा है। और ये भी 15-20 लीटर एक बार चार्ज होने में कवर करेगी। इसको अभी 6 महीने करीब होगा। धान की फसल भी इसी से की हमने, और गेहूं वाली फसल भी इसी से कर रहे हैं, और ये मूंग वाली फसल में भी अब यूज करने के लिए बैठे हैं।
What we're seeing is just the beginning. Refurbished batteries are already creating value on the ground. The next step is to take them further and turn them into solutions that can scale. This is where Vasudha Foundation is creating a favorable ecosystem to understand, enable, and scale circular solutions for mobility in India.
The electric mobility program at Vasudha Foundation is looking at circularity in automobile sector in a big way. For retrofittment, we are developing a detailed policy compendium which examines the existing policy and regulatory scenario regarding retrofittment across states in India and identifies policy gaps which can be supplanted going forward. For refurbishment, we have carried out multiple pilots on low power and high power applications, and the results of those pilots are feeding into standards and guidelines for battery refurbishment, which will be released by a state soon.
India is not alone in this journey. Its efforts are being recognized at a global stage. As solutions prove viable here, they create a pathway for other countries to follow.
India's recent initiatives across many fronts have been tailored as open source, adaptable models for the global south. And one among them is the Mission Life, which was introduced by our Prime Minister way back in 2021 at the sidelines of the climate meeting held at Glasgow. Circularity and the principles of Mission Life has actually gained a lot of traction across these years, not just in India, but globally. And particularly the principles of circularity is something that is being adopted and is being seen as an area of South-South cooperation.
With its scale, innovation, and deeply rooted culture of reuse, India is uniquely positioned to shape what circular mobility can look like for the global south.
It is important that countries, particularly the global south, comes together, cooperate and collaborate to look at circularity to ensure that we use the limited resources in a manner that is sustainable, while at the same time not compromising on the energy transition goals.